back. It's all kicked off. Let's just put it that way. Straight into it. Can't ignore the fact that it's all happening. Iran has been attacked. As I said, bro, no deal.
You were right. I was wrong. There was no deal. And it looks like America's going really hard, really fast. So it's crazy to watch. I saw yesterday there was, I think, a warship just got sunk. And I was like, what's happening? What is saying? It's like this thing just went there and kaboom.
And it's sad, bro.
It is
sad because like there was 165 people on that boat. Like, whether you support whoever you want to support, like at the end of the day, there's human beings involved in this, and like they died. Like most of them died, and it's sad, but it was just too hard for me to ignore the fact that they had so much military in the area. And like when I connected all the dots with the economy and crypto and things like that, it just made too much sense to attack Iran just by oil. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. We're seeing oil prices up, 20% or higher?
Insane.
Insane.
It's insanity. And the media is definitely pushing as well. They're saying that petrol's going to go to $3, $4. It's a scare campaign as well.
Yeah.
They're trying to say, well, the US is attacking Iran. Now oil's going to go up. So now cost of living has to go up because petrol's going up. And it's all the perfect story.
And it's such bullshit, right? Like, yes, off the back of the war, it's going to go up a lot quicker, but it was already going up. We were already there. And the way I see it is just an excuse.
So what do you think the strategy is with Iran attacking Saudi Arabia, Qatar, like all the different countries around it? I know there's military bases there, but like the US bases. But say, for example, they're attacking Dubai Airport.
Yeah.
Like, why do you reckon that's
I think just to scare them, to close their oil refineries, to increase security, to stop people coming into the country, control, really. Yeah. It's just a way of controlling things and really affecting the economy.
It's definitely working.
Because you think about all the people that from here, especially in Australia, we have to go through the Middle East pretty much to get to Europe.
Yeah, well, I know a few people that are stuck in Dubai Airport because they can't get in or out.
Yeah, and eventually got hit by a missile.
Yeah,
that's it. Why? What's the purpose of bombing the Dubai Airport? You think about it. It's for those reasons. It's to control where people are going right now because things are gonna get worse before they get better, and to really scare people and shift inflation and the economy and oil and all those things.
Do you reckon it was to get America and its allies off target? Because it's like, well, why would you attack an airport? But like, that's maybe a logical thing to do to try and draw attention away from what you think they're going to, that's what I'm trying to get to, yeah.
I see is Iran's really smart, and America and Israel have gone in guns blazing from day one. They've bombed the hell out of them, right? And a lot of people are looking at it like Iran's getting hammered. And that's what the media are saying right now. Iran's getting hammered. But the way I see it is they're holding back. If you look at Iran's geography, right, they're all in mountains. Right? A lot of their stuff is well underground. So yeah, they might be hitting things on the surface and whatnot, but they're using $20,000 to $25,000 drones, right? And Israel and America are using $4 to $5 million interceptor missiles to intercept $20,000 drones. Do the maths.
Yeah, at some point, they're going to run out.
They're going to run out. They're going to run out of money. They're going to run out of production. I think it takes like 12 months to make those missiles.
So do you reckon the end game or the next game is to get a government in Iran that's more aligned with the US, or what's the hierarchy?
I personally think it's purely down to the restriction of oil. I think it's to halt supply, to really shock the economy globally, because 20% of the oil, as we all know, comes out of the Strait of Hormuz, right? If they shut down other oil refineries, which they already started to do in Saudi Arabia, we're going to see supply drop massively. Ships aren't being let in at all. Bar some Russian ships and some Chinese ships, I don't know if they're getting, whatever. But we're at $82 a barrel right now. I think we're seeing well around $100 $12 a barrel in the next couple of weeks.
So do you reckon this is why Trump went to Venezuela first?
Yes.
Went to Venezuela first to get the oil supply before they attack. Which maybe
He's got how many barrels of oil now from Venezuela, which he can sell. And they have $38 trillion of debt. Right? So for me, it's not about regime change. It's about oil again.
it always has been.
And again, when we look back through history, we're seeing the same pattern evolve since 1929, 1930s, when the recession happened, the Great Depression was exactly the same thing. All the way up until the GFC with Iraq. 1979, there was another war there where, it shifted the economy again. You can look back through all these wars, and every single time there's a financial reset.
So you reckon the financial reset is coming?
It's here.
That's it.
Underworld.
Well, back home here, like if oil prices go up, I see the lines of the petrol station that are, 20, 30 deep, and I'm like, it's nuts. It's like, yes, petrol's going to go up. It's going to cost more on the household budget. But in saying that, you may have fuel, but then it's not, like, that's not where you're going to get your inflation from. It's going to be when you go buy your food at Woolies, the trucks have to pay more for fuel, and the downward stream of that effect, that's going to be more of the impact, not the extra $50 it's going to cost you to fill up your car.
Exactly. And a quick message to everyone: don't fill up jerry cans of oil. Like, if we run out of oil, we run out of oil, right? People that need it are the truckers, the farmers, all those people that need to produce food. Because if we run scarce on food, then we're in a bit of trouble, which I don't think will happen. But
because we've only got about 20 days of oil.
we've got 40 days of diesel,
Okay.
and I think 32 of unleaded.
Which, to be honest, is not enough.
It's not, because we get all of that stuff from overseas, and this is the thing. Like, why do we all get it? Why do we get it from there? Why does everyone get it from there?
Yeah, but I also think this is an issue for successive governments.
Yeah.
Labor and Liberal. Like, why haven't you got a strategic reserve?
Exactly.
Like in the US, they call it the Strategic National Reserve, I think, or some name.
Venezuela.
And I think I think US has about, I think it was 180 or 200 days worth of oil backed up in these reserves, which are in key points around the country. And it's like, why haven't we got something like that here?
Australia's just relied on other countries way too much for way too long, and hopefully they wake up and they start using our own resources, minerals, and all that stuff to produce our own energy, because we're going to have to. And we saw that the Canadian Prime Minister came over. I don't know, I didn't see too much about what happened there, but Albo and him signed some sort of deal around iron ore and stuff.
Okay.
I saw that.
No.
Yeah.
It's been very like the media's obviously talking about Iran. There's not much else going on.
Not much else going on, man. But yeah, like, to answer your question, I think it's all about oil again. It's all about putting us into a recession, hitting our pockets, spiking inflation, and flipping the switch. Flipping the switch.
Well, inflation, like, I think they meet I think next week here at home, RBA.
Yeah.
Like, this is definitely going to be a factor. Like, it has to be. Because oil is basically, whether people like it or not, and I understand the green transition is happening and spending billions and billions of dollars, but still, oil is an essential part of the economy for everybody.
Everything.
So in saying that inflation was already on the way up before this happened last week, now I think this is going to be the accelerant.
Yeah.
It's, next week when they meet, yes, it's going to cause a global recession, probably, if something goes wrong.
Yeah.
But in saying that, in the short term, prices have to go up.
They have to. There's no option. And it's going to hurt a lot of people, because as you and I have been speaking about for the last few weeks, we had, these policies coming around, like the 5% deposit scheme and whatnot, which have put a lot of people that really can't afford a home into a home.
On the edge.
Yeah, on the edge. And this is what shits me about governments, is like, they don't care. They don't think, they don't care. And little people always lose out, and they're okay.
Yeah. Do you reckon the Prime Minister or Jim Chalmers knows even how much the cost of petrol is at the moment? They have no idea. In their government cars, driving around, chauffeured. Hey,
while they're going there and whatnot. And it shits me when I see them in their Parliament House and they're all having a laugh and a giggle and
being all tough. It's like, you can tell they don't care. They don't care. But anyway, so that's that. And I think, if we look forward, it doesn't just stop at Iran. We're seeing NATO get involved now because Turkey was, I think they were struck or they had a missile launched towards them and they intercepted it.
I did say that, yeah.
And I think we'll probably continue to see that to scare Europeans a bit and keep them home and whatnot. And NATO will have no choice but to get involved.
Look, I see the NATO countries, like in Europe especially, trying to be staunch against Trump, but they're going to join.
They're going to join him because they need the US.
Exactly.
They need the US. And again, this is coming back to what governments do best. When financial resets happen, they need security, right? So defense spending goes up. This is why they want to evolve more countries. This is why probably Dubai and Saudi and Qatar and Jordan and Turkey have all been struck, is because it gives them a reason to increase defense spending. We've seen already in Dubai that had some flights leaving out of the country that they were being sort of, escorted by fighter jets. So it's all about security.
Yeah, well, it would scare you if you're getting onto a plane and you've got a fighter jet there having to escort you. You're like, shit. You're like, should I even be on this plane?
Exactly. That's right. Exactly. And then the big question is, when does China go to Taiwan?
I think, the Chinese are very smart people.
Yeah.
And I think this is a time for them to strike if they're going to do it because the world is distracted with something else, But I think it's saying that as well. America has sort of decoupled over the last 10 years with the chips and all this, bringing that infrastructure or that manufacturing back home, like the microchips and all the special components.
So Trump actually just announced recently that he is going to reduce or stop spending on semiconductors. And they've increased their purchasing of silver.
Well, that's why silver's gone up. That makes sense.
Exactly. So you look at that and you go, well, are they getting ready for what they may already know is going to come? And then Trump is also flying to Beijing at the end of this month. Remaining with
Project. Yeah. Yep.
So I personally think that we see China going to Taiwan not too far after that meeting.
Yeah, well, I actually think Taiwan is going to be given.
Yeah. They'll just concede it. Like America will concede it because they'll be too busy in Iran.
Yeah.
They can't spread themselves across two fronts. And China know that.
I think Taiwan's very close to China. It's just there.
All they really need to do is put a blockade and then just walk on in. What's Taiwan really going to do?
Yeah. Look, if they try to call America's very occupied in its partners. It's like, are they going to fight Iran or are they going to fight China for Taiwan? It's like they can't be at two places at once.
No.
Are we going to send the Australian military over there? It's like it's not going to happen.
No, there won't be any military involvement. No way. Just spending, complete spending, more money, more money. But yeah, that's where it's at. It's all happened so quickly, and day 5. Only day 5, really, of the war.
Well, I did notice a lot of businesses as well have been complaining, saying that February was a really low month, shit month. Yeah. It's like just in terms of like people are not spending as much, it seems, and people are starting to become cautious.
People are not spending as much, myself included, and people are complaining more. So I've noticed a fair few new people in our gyms who have been complaining about things costing a bit of money in the gym. And it's not that things cost money in our gyms, it's that things are costing more everywhere else. Yeah. And because they come and see us on a daily basis, and they're just wording their sort of anger and frustrations. So, it's going to continue to happen as food goes up, petrol goes up, everything else. People are going to pull back. And this is where small businesses, really, really suffer.
Oh, look, they do. And especially I was talking to a friend who's a builder the other day, and he was saying to me, even to build a granny flat, a granny flat's just a small 2-bedroom, maximum 60 square meters in size. And it's costing it costs $250,000.
What's the point?
You know, and it's like 250 grand for something that's so small. It's because the risk, the cost of all the components, the bricks and all this sort of stuff and the approvals. And it's like, that's why we have an issue. Things are costing more. People haven't got the cash and things are starting to hyperinflate.
Yeah.
You know, and that's sort of, you know, no one wants to use the hyperinflation because that's, you know, that's a bad place to be in where the currency sort of devalues and no one's got cash and things just get way, way more expensive. But it looks like it's sort of starting to happen.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I think it'll only speed up for the short while. And like, you know, a lot of people that I speak to they're like, oh, you know, the Iran USD Israel will do everything. No, but
It will take as long as they want it to take.
yeah,
You know?
but also you need to remember too, like, and we've spoken about this, is there's a bit of religion involved. Right? And like a lot of people were saying, oh, they killed the supreme leader and like that's a massive thing. And it actually works the other way. Like when you think about like their religion and what they believe in, you know, they die for their religion. You know, so this guy also sacrificed himself.
Mm-hmm.
What does that have to do? That just riles everyone up.
Mm-hmm.
All the Shia Muslims are going to be ready to fight.
Oh, look, it definitely brings tension.
Yeah.
You know, and especially when you go after the head, and they didn't just go after the head, and they went after the second, the third. Now, basically, anyone that's sort of going into those positions, they're taking out.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a bit scary because it's like, where do the people actually sit, the Iranian people? Because it's like, I'm sure you've got
They're so split.
they're split. And it's like, well, you know, they're going to stop attacking once they have a leader that's sort of more aligned with the American or the European or the NATO values, you know, that they need. And it's like, it's a scary situation because it's very volatile, especially when you have religion where people have been fighting for years, you know, like thousands of years. So you bring that into the mix as well, and you're like, fuck, we have something very unstable in these.
That's kind of where my head's at as well. Like when you think about, you know, the Muslim religion, there's like 2 billion Muslims in the world. That is a massive amount. It's quite a lot of people. You have the Shias and the Sunnis. I think it's a 50-50 split. I could be off on that. I'm not sure. But then they're not just in Iran.
Oh yeah, all over.
Everywhere, you know, like a lot of religions. So then what do we start seeing in our countries, in Australia, in other countries? You know, do we see more division?
But I think it's, you know, it's apparent, especially with the Bondi attacks, like it's starting to come here, you know, like people are starting to get really riled up. So they have to somehow sort of diffuse it. I don't know how. Like, how do you do it? I have no idea.
They've already started putting military police.
I've seen it with the guns as well. Yeah.
So that's what we'll see. We'll see more of that. And this is again my point as to, you know, don't always believe what you see on the media. Like there is an agenda behind these things. And, you know, again, every time there's a crisis, epidemic, whatever you want to call it, you see more security, more control over money, more control over what you do and how you speak and where you go.
Well, the stock market's got absolutely smashed. You know, they got hammered, and people go, well, I'm not in the stock market. Yeah, you are. Your super funds are investing in stock markets, or your retirement savings are there. And if you can, you know, you may double in it as well. It's like, I think I saw the other day, it was like ridiculous, like hundreds of billions of dollars getting wiped. And it's like, that's your money. That's your money. That's sort of that's just disappearing. Yeah.
And we had this conversation with my mum yesterday. We literally took her sugar out yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she can now. She's 65. And she was like, no, I don't want to do it. The war, but she's like, should I still take my super out? And I'm like, do you think so? She's like, yeah.
And that's where I think a lot of people don't see it. It's like the big banks will make money on the way down as well as the way up. So if you buy a stock for $100 and you sell it for $150 in 5 years' time, you've made $50, right? But you can buy stock for 100 and then short the stock and say it goes down to 50. You make money on the way down.
Yeah.
And this is why all these hedge funds, these big banks, that's what they do. It's been an absolute smorgasbord of money making over the last 5 days.
Yep.
Like the way the markets have moved, if you can time it in and out at the right points, which are very hard as well.
Yes.
You know, it's hard. But if you can do it, you can make a shit ton of money.
You can.
And you can even saw, I think last week when the war started, Bitcoin went down to like 60. And then I think last time was at 72.
72 at the moment.
You know, it's like, well, that's a 20% swing. And if people put their money in the bank and get 4% per whole year, you know, and then you get taxed on that. People are making 20% in a day, you know, and that's what's crazy about all these markets and all this news. And I 100% think that's what all of this stuff is done for. Like you said, to spike the oil price up, 100% that's one side of the market. But then what happens because of that? Things become more expensive, companies start losing money, the bad news cycle starts, and people make money on the way down.
They do. And like, you know, you can call me conspiracy theorist all you want, but there's no way that these big institutions don't know what's about to happen. How do they make so much money in these times? Okay. Like, you look at JP Morgan and all those guys, like BlackRock, every time they said the same about Bitcoin, right? When it was 2007 or whatever, or 2017, I can't remember, but you know, they got asked, are you going to do a Bitcoin ETF? No, we're not interested. As soon as it spikes, fucking BlackRock announced an ETF into Bitcoin, made hundreds of billions, whatever, every single time. And I guarantee
That's the game.
I guarantee it, you'll see XRP in the same. Guarantee it.
You and I disagree on this one, but yeah,
okay.
that's okay.
That's fine, but again, this is all tying back to the theory that I have around CBDCs, you know, UBI, universal basic income, a whole new financial system, and fiat currency gone.
So where do you see Bitcoin going because of this? Because like there's two sides.
They're still around, and I think it stays. I think it's got its place. It's not going to be the number one crypto. It's not going to be the king anymore, I don't think. Where does it go? I honestly don't know, because I'm not really looking at it that much.
Yeah.
You got to remember that it is heavily involved in the Epstein files.
Yeah, you can see how that, you know, no one's really talking about it now. Like it's just disappeared.
But it's there because they were the initial investors of Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, I think that's why I went from 100 and 110 down to 65, because all the big heavy banks, you know, all across the world, don't want to be associated with the name.
Yeah,
you know.
But I think I don't think it goes to zero. I don't think it goes to zero. All I do know is the ones that I have are the ones that are going to be around for the future. You got to look at the ISO 222 tokens. So they're the ones that are basically regulated or going to be regulated. If you don't have that around your cryptocurrency, then I think you're probably not going to be around. But yeah, like you even saw the Australian digital dollar got approved 2 days ago, and you can check the website. It's running on the XRP ledger. It's there. It's all there for you.
I hope for your sake. Yeah. I hope it happens. I just see, you know, all of these things happening, and it's like I saw Bitcoin. Like I saw Bitcoin in the beginning, like in probably 2014, and I didn't believe it back then. But obviously, look where it's gone. You know, so I'm not saying it's not going to make it. I'm just a bit skeptical.
I think as well, like crypto is viewed as an unregulated thing, right? But like what people are forgetting is that Trump's administration have put in 2 acts that are going to make it completely regulated, completely institutional and part of the financial system. And when we saw XRP go from $2.22 down to $1.70, $486 million from big institutions was invested in the dip.
Yeah, I remember that was back in October or something last year.
Yeah. It was recently.
Okay.
Because I had another diff recently. So yeah, that's where I think things are going. I've made my best. And I think it's important, like you got to personally, I think you have to place your bets.
Oh, look, if you need to invest, like if you're just going to sit in, you know, your industry super fund or in the bank and get 4%, you're going to be okay, right? But it's like, do you just want to be okay?
But are you going to be okay if it becomes really expensive?
Probably not.
Exactly, we're not.
So
That's my theory, because like, I had this chat with my mom. She's been working, her whole life. She's 67 years old. She's done really well, and she's got, her super and whatnot. But I turned around to her and I said, imagine if everything becomes so expensive that the money that you've saved isn't what it actually is.
Yeah, it's worth half as much or whatever. Yeah.
But you can go and put your money into gold and silver, which have been around for how long? How long has gold and silver been around?
Well, I can see a lot of people are starting to move towards that. A lot of people call me asking about gold and silver now as well. It's like in my whole career, I've never heard people talk about it much.
No.
But now it's like, oh, well, what about gold and silver? Even cryptos, people are starting to talk about it. But I think gold and silver obviously been around so long that they're the safest ones.
They are,
For
sure. Definitely, silver's a bit more volatile, but like I personally just think that having your money in fiat currency, is really risky, and it never used to be.
And I also saw next week is the by-election for Susan Lee, and One Nation is going for the seat. It's going to be One Nation. I think what they say, obviously Labor, Independent as well. And it's like it's going to be interesting because it's going to set the tone.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine if One Nation win that seat? Like the One Nation person beats Susan Lee's seat, and it's like that's going to be insane.
Let my bottom dollar actually. I honestly think that's in it.
Well, the same thing's happening in Victoria. Like Victoria's about to go through a state election, I think towards the end of this year. That things are changing already. Like, especially property prices in Victoria. I think if there is a change of government, things are going to start to spike because they're going to be more friendlier. They've really sucked the life out of property investors in Melbourne. They're hammering them, and that's why, like, I was having a gaze. You can get a brick home, like 600 block, not too far from Melbourne, like for 550, 600,000. Which is like ridiculously cheap, in the state of Australia, and it's like, whoa, like that's cheap. But obviously they've had other issues because of the government,
And they've had the immigration issues as well, and people probably don't really want to live in Melbourne as much. Yeah.
I think so too. Like we all know the crime in Melbourne that they're not reporting. I have family in Melbourne, I have friends in Melbourne, and things are not, like they used to.
Not exactly. It's not as safe as what it used to be. But yeah, I think Australia has some very, very interesting times ahead. I think our country is going to change a lot.
So when do you think the war will finish?
More for a long time.
So is it going to be like an Iraq war, like whatever, couple of years, or do you think by the end of the year?
I think we could see this go for at least a couple of years.
Oh, wow.
I do. I think there'll be stages of the war, like it'll change, and they'll have their ceasefires and allow oil to go through and restart some things. But if you think about it, like if the goal is to change regime and all that stuff, like how do you do that? Like you have to constantly be there if that's what they want to do, which I don't think it is. But how are they going to sell it? Like, you know what I mean?
Well, it's very interesting that they have now a lot of oil that they can sell into the market and make a lot of cash.
Exactly.
Like it's going to make South America really rich. The Americans really rich. Mm-hmm. It's going to swing power away from the Middle East as well.
But I think we see America's economy just absolutely shit itself.
Well, the AI trade, like it's starting to die already. Like you've got like OpenAI now, which is ChatGPT. They said they'll never do ads, and they're talking about doing ads. And if you're doing ads, you need to raise money, you need to raise revenue to cover your cash flow. And now there's so many AIs out there, like it just makes sense. Like there's so much money to invest to set these things up, the chips, the locations, and all that. And it looks like there's just been overinvestment.
Yeah.
And if there's been overinvestment, like this is where if OpenAI can't keep on going the way that they're going in terms of the pace, and they can't keep up, then what's going to happen? They're going to go broke.
Yeah.
And this is where acquisitions happen. A different AI company like Claude, Anthropic, or someone else will just buy these guys for pennies on the dollar.
And
Yeah.
it's tomorrow.
Well, Elon did it with another time. You didn't think of it. He bought Twitter for 44 billion, and everyone was like, "Fuck!" He overpaid. It's really worth 15 billion. He came in and he gutted like 90% of the workforce, did all of that, and then you look at it now. It's like it was all for grok, you know. For like they had so much data on people, their posting, their locations, their messages, everything, and they set up grok, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah,
Like-
you know who then just partnered with as well?
Who?
XRT.
Exactly. Experiments.
Yeah.
I saw that he wants to set up a credit card as well. You know, it's like he wants to make everything within the. Yeah.
What?
He's making the ecosystem with,
Controlling the narrative as well, like with social media.
and also even space, not Space Force, with Starlink. You know, so it's like now. It's almost like he's got the data from X. He's got the apps, which is like one of the number one social media apps.
Yeah.
He's going to control the flow of internet.
Yeah, AI.
You know, and it's like, and he's got the self-driving cars. He's got the AI, the robots, and it's like, fuck.
He's got all the technology for basically what's to come.
And that's why he's worth 880 billion. I think it was when I last saw, and I was like, fuck. He's going to be the first trillionaire. He's going to make it.
Yeah, and then he'll go to Mars.
He's going to make it.
What if Cindy's broken? Maybe we should move there.
But I heard an interesting concept. He was saying they want to put the data centers in the sky and on the moon, and
Because they cost a lot of money to run.
but that's what he's saying. It's a lot cooler out in space, so they need to clear
The water. Because it's that they need.
they need the water to cooler, you know. And if it's up in space, when it's like a negative, whatever it is.
You know Elysium? There isn't Elysium.
I haven't seen it.
That bloody thing in the sky, the big green thing, and the people living on it. Anyway, but yeah, like no, he's super smart, obviously, but like it just goes to show like how much like these guys, Elon and what's his name, Bezos and all that, like they invest in what's coming. You know, whether they know what's going on or not. The reason they'd make so much money is because they sort of see the pattern and what's happening, a bit like what we've been discussing.
Well, they see the strategy.
Yeah.
I think like that's where, you know, like Elon's talking about all these things. Like he bought Twitter in 2021 or 2022, like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And like now we know what the plan was behind it.
Exactly.
But
Because he had all these ideas that were going to connect with it.
which is nuts.
Yeah, it's because they for the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of these guys are doing the same thing, and they're making their bets and they're creating their businesses around it. And people are investing in it.
Well, like you said, I'm going to buy one of those robots straight away. Cutting the grass, doing the dishes. I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, it better not stay in my room. I'm going to keep it outside in the backyard.
Put it in a cage. If it turns red, you're in trouble. You turn it on.
Because I couldn't just imagine I wake up at night time and it's just staring at me. I guess the fuck.
As long as it brings you a coffee. Yeah. What do you think? You asked me a lot about what I think. What do you reckon? Like, do you think the war goes on a lot longer or shorter? Or?
Oh, look, I think like with Trump as well. I also like the way he says things is provocative. You know, I can see like the way he's saying. I saw something on TV the other day, and he was like, you know, we haven't started yet. Like this is just the beginning. And it's like if you were the other side, you're like, he ain't fucking around. You know, he's doing what he says he does. So I think it's not going to last as long as the year. I think it's going to take a few weeks, and it should be over.
Yeah.
Because America knows this. They don't want to be dragged into the war. You've got midterms at the end of the year in November. And I think what he wants to do is like go to war, say, look, I did it, it's done, it's all sorted, and this is why you're going to keep me as the president or whatever for the next 2 years, you know, and still remain in power. So that's why I think he's going to be short, sharp, and sweet, because that's the way usually he does things, you know.
Yeah. Could be.
But yeah, the Venezuela play, like now, it's just, it all falls into pieces. It's like,
It all makes sense.
it all makes sense. Like he went to Venezuela first, and we already know Maduro's probably off in an island somewhere just chilling because, we're probably right. You know, they're scheming what they're going to do next, but it's like it makes complete sense once you see it. You know, like no one knew at the time, but we sort of knew that they were going to be talking about Iran, the Middle East.
Yeah.
You know, and Iran and Venezuela are the 1 and 2 suppliers of oil to China. So it's like when you put it all together, it's starting to make sense.
Yes, he's trying to like suffocate China. But I don't know. I think this backfires for America. I think it does. Their economy is already shit.
Oh, well, if the AI thing pops, and I think it's going to, because it's like, and I saw this interesting tweet, like they're saying, why hasn't Apple invested in AI? Like, why haven't they done all of these things?
But the problem as well, like, yeah, they've got all that technology and stuff, but the people are really divided.
They are.
Like the US, and I've seen some podcasters talk about how much, like, Americans have always sort of, have guns and they've had their problems and whatnot, but like the left and the right are so
divided, yeah.
divided. And now religion is part of it. Like, if I hate to see this, but they could be looking at a civil war. And, like, it's that bad. Like, I spoke to someone who went to America not long ago, and he said he just couldn't wait to leave.
Oh, well.
Like, it was that bad. Homelessness, like, crime, like, he didn't feel safe. He said you could feel the friction.
Which state was he in?
He went to LA.
Yeah, I heard LA is bad too. Yeah.
And I think he went to like New York as well. But I know he definitely was LA. Yeah. So, yeah, look, and like the guys that I was watching on this podcast, it was really good actually. It was quite insightful. They were both part of the military, and like they were saying just how bad it was. Sort of like, yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things, like this war with Iran can really, really increase the temperatures of a lot of Americans.
Of course.
Because they don't want to, from what I've seen, I thought that maybe Americans were backing the whole war with Iran, but I don't think they are. I don't think they want it.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see towards the end of this year when they have the midterms to see how the public react, because even the media.
Do you think, like, this is kind of me just thinking a bit like out of the box, but like, is there a way where they can not have the midterms? Like, what's the poll? Like, what is the law? Like, what happens if there is a civil war in America or something gets out of hand with elections?
I'm not too sure, to be honest, but yeah, like from what I've heard of is like they delay them, they just delay them for another time if there is an act of war going on, So, but I think that means if there's an act of war within their own countries, So, things are very spicy over there, but as well, we only see one side of it.
Yeah, it's hard for us to do,
Like I said to you last week, like the State of Union, when I watched it, I was like, man, this guy's got so much energy. Like he's just, like he's what he does is rather than just attacking one issue, he does 10 things, and people just don't know where to look.
Yeah, but the problem with that is he riles people off.
He does, yeah.
He riles people off. Like he gets his supporters. He's really, really got like hardcore fans pumped. And then the people on the left are just like, these guys are crazy. They both think each other are crazy. He was calling the Democrats crazy.
He was, yeah.
In front of them.
Yeah.
On TV. So what are his supporters going to start saying?
Oh, look, it's very, what's the word? Maybe unpresidential, like in terms of the way that he's acting. But I think people just got sick of like the bullshit because like even now, even here, you've got like Albo. It's like no one's, and I saw an article the other day, they're blaming John Howard for the housing crisis. And it's like, Johnny Howard was here 25 years ago.
They're the best ever.
It's like, you guys are in charge now. Like you can fix it now. Like you are a majority government. You can change it now, but they won't.
But that's just
Politics.
Policy. They just blame each other until the cows come home. Like they'll never actually own up to their own shit.
But I think that's why in the US, that's why probably Trump got through, because it's like at least what he says, like he's a straight shooter. This is what he says.
Yeah.
It's not like all this waffle back and forth. It's like no one's actually saying the answer. Like I saw Angus Taylor this morning on the news as well. And it's like they ask him questions and they just like ducking and weaving. Just answer the questions.
The question comes on.
Just answer it. Like.
Yeah, this is full of shit.
Maybe we could run through from this.
Can only imagine.
Anyway, well, that's where we're at.
Perfect.
It's going to be a big week. Every day is big at the moment.
Stay safe.
Stay safe. Log into your super funds. Check all your bank accounts. See where things are at.
Yeah, don't all scam.
Oh yes.
I got a message, and it looked like it was from CoinSpot, and it wasn't. It was a bunch of scammers, British scammers, and I called them out on the phone and absolutely gave it to them. But that they're out there and they're good, but their messages that they're getting,
Oh yes.
that I was getting were good because I called them, and obviously I didn't give anything away because I knew straight away on the phone. But like a lot of people fall for this stuff.
Of course, I had happened to me this week and last week. Westpac apparently were calling me. They wanted some information, but they didn't call me once. They called me like 8 times in a day, you know, and like calling me 8 times asking for it. It's like, man, you called me 8 times. Of course, I don't pick up, but it's like you just need to be aware. Like these things happen.
Don't just think it's like don't just assume that it's them straight away. Double check, find out the number's real, if it's true. Always second guess.
Exactly.
And especially in these times now, this is when the scammers and the hackers all come out. So wait. Yeah.
Well, they got nowhere to go. Petrol's too expensive. They just sit at home and they just do what they got to do. You know. All right.
All right, man.
Cool. Catch you next week.